The enormous hall of the Galactic Tribunal buzzed with voices. Thousands of alien representatives sat in curved rows that stretched high into the darkness. Each alien looked different. Some had multiple eyes, others had skin that glowed, and some weren't even solid beings. They all watched the small human woman who stood alone in the center of the hall. Ambassador Elena Chen took a deep breath. She tried not to show fear as she faced the 7 judges of the tribunal. The judges sat on tall platforms, looking down at her from 15 feet above. The chief judge, Vox Lumina, was a being made of blue crystal that seemed to glow from within. "The tribunal has reviewed all evidence," Vox Lumina announced. Its voice echoed without using a microphone. "Humanity stands accused of 3 major crimes against galactic law." Elena's heart beat faster. For 6 days, she had defended Earth, explaining that humans were young as a spacefaring species and still learning. First crime, reckless endangerment of sentient life. Vox Lumina continued. "Your wars have almost destroyed your own planet multiple times." Second crime, environmental negligence. You have damaged your atmosphere, oceans, and wildlife despite knowing better. Third crime, unpredictable aggression. Your history shows you cannot be trusted to interact peacefully with other civilizations. Whispers filled the hall as aliens nodded in agreement. Elena wanted to argue, but the rules said she could only speak when asked a direct question. "Has the human representative anything final to add?" Vox Lumina asked. Elena stepped forward. "The charges focus only on our mistakes, not our achievements. Humans have created beautiful art, music, and literature. We've made medical discoveries that save millions of lives. We've begun to fix our environmental problems. We learn from our errors and grow better. Please give us a chance to prove ourselves as worthy galactic citizens." The 7 judges turned their heads toward each other, communicating silently. After a minute, Vox Lumina faced Elena again. "The judgment is made. Earth will be isolated from all galactic contact for 100 standard years." Gasps and murmurs filled the hall. Some alien representatives nodded with satisfaction, while others seemed shocked by the harsh sentence. "A barrier will surround your entire solar system," Vox Lumina explained. "No ships can enter or leave. No communications can pass through. Earth must learn its lesson in solitude." Elena felt her legs weaken. "Your Honor, please reconsider. Complete isolation will devastate our economies and societies. We've only just begun to." "The decision is final," Vox Lumina interrupted. "As a courtesy, you may send one final message to your world before the barrier activates in 3 standard days." 2 tall, thin aliens approached Elena to escort her from the chamber. As she walked out, she held her head high despite the weight of the judgment. In the small communication room, Elena prepared Earth's final message to the galaxy for the next century. Her hands trembled, but her voice was steady as she spoke into the recorder. "They've made their decision," she said with quiet determination, "but they have no idea who they're dealing with." 3 months after Ambassador Chen returned to Earth, the night sky changed forever. People around the world watched in horror as stars began to disappear, one by one. Then by the dozens, then by the hundreds, they winked out of existence. In their place, a faint purple glow spread across the heavens. Dr. Sanjay Kapoor stood on the roof of his observatory in New Delhi, staring up with both fear and wonder. His assistant ran to his side, tablet in hand. "It's happening everywhere, Doctor," she said, showing him live feeds from observatories around the world. "The barrier is going up just as they warned." By morning, not a single star was visible from Earth. The sun still shone, but beyond it lay only the shimmering dome that now enclosed the entire solar system. News channels showed footage of people crying in the streets, while religious leaders called for prayer and reflection. 7 days after the barrier appeared, world leaders gathered in Geneva for an emergency global response summit. Ambassador Chen sat at the center table, dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep. "We have to accept reality," she told the room full of presidents and prime ministers. We are cut off from the rest of the galaxy for the next 100 years. But that doesn't mean we give up. The summit hall doors burst open as a tall man with wild hair rushed in, ignoring the security guards who tried to stop him. "Forgive my interruption," said Dr. Kapoor, out of breath. "But I've discovered something about the barrier that changes everything." The world leaders murmured as large screens descended from the ceiling. Dr. Kapoor plugged in his device and displayed complex readings and calculations. "The barrier isn't just a wall," he explained, pointing to energy patterns. "It's made of technology far beyond our understanding, but not beyond our ability to learn from it." Dr. Kapoor showed how radio signals sent toward the barrier didn't just stop. They bounced back, changed in subtle ways. It's as if the barrier is teaching us new physics just by existing. While the summit continued, a young engineer named Maya Okonkwo was making her own discovery thousands of miles away in Lagos, Nigeria. In her small lab, she had been sending various signals toward the barrier for days. "Look at this," she told her team, pointing to her computer screen. "The signals don't just return. They come back stronger and with new information embedded in them." Maya worked through the night, testing her theory. By morning, she had confirmed it and sent her findings to the summit. When the world leaders saw Maya's research, many began to hope for the first time since the judgment. Ambassador Chen called Maya to address the summit through video. "The tribunal thought they were punishing us," Maya told them, her eyes bright with excitement. "But they've actually given us the greatest gift. We're not just locked in a cage. We're locked in a room with the most advanced technology in the galaxy all around us." Dr. Kapoor nodded in agreement. "If we can understand how the barrier works," he added, "we might learn more in a decade than we would have in 1,000 years of normal scientific progress." Ambassador Chen stood up, looking stronger than she had in weeks. "Then that's exactly what we'll do. The tribunal wanted to isolate us, but they'll soon discover that humanity thrives on challenges." 1 year after the barrier fell, the world had changed. Countries that once fought each other now worked together. Scientists who used to compete for funding now shared their discoveries freely. Everyone understood that survival required cooperation. In a massive new facility built in the Sahara Desert, Dr. Kapoor and Maya Okonkwo led humanity's greatest scientific effort, Project Echo. "The barrier reflects our signals back to us," Maya explained to a group of new scientists joining the project. "But it doesn't just bounce them back, it changes them. It's like the barrier is teaching us." The Project Echo building housed over 5,000 scientists from every nation. Giant dishes pointed upward at the barrier, constantly sending and receiving signals. Supercomputers analyzed the returning data, looking for patterns and knowledge. Dr. Kapoor walked through the main control room, watching screens fill with new information. His hair had more gray now, but his eyes shone with excitement. "Show me the latest results," he said to his assistant. "The quantum communication test worked," the assistant replied, handing him a tablet. "We sent a signal toward the barrier yesterday, and when it returned, the quantum particles were entangled in a way we've never seen before." Dr. Kapoor studied the data, then laughed out loud. "Do you know what this means? We can use this method to communicate instantly across any distance on Earth, no delay at all." "But that should be impossible," the assistant said. "It was impossible with our old understanding of physics," Dr. Kapoor replied. "The barrier is teaching us new rules." Meanwhile, in another part of the facility, Maya was testing a different theory. She had noticed that certain types of energy sent toward the barrier returned transformed into more efficient forms. "Try increasing the power by 20%, she told her team as they prepared another test. The massive dish outside hummed as it sent a powerful energy beam toward the purple barrier overhead. Seconds later, sensors lit up as the returned energy flowed into special collectors. "It's working," shouted one of the engineers. "The energy came back at 140% of what we sent." Maya grinned. "We're not just learning how to communicate from the barrier. We're learning how to create energy from it." That evening, Maya and Dr. Kapoor met with Ambassador Chen, who now led the Global Unity Council that governed Earth's response to isolation. "We've made more progress in 1 year than we would have made in 50 without the barrier," Maya reported. "The tribunal thought they were punishing us, but they've given us the perfect laboratory." "And this is just the beginning," Dr. Kapoor added. "At this rate, in 5 years we'll have technologies that would have taken centuries to develop on our own." Ambassador Chen looked out the window at the shimmering barrier visible in the night sky. "The tribunal wanted to silence us and hold us back. Instead, they've pushed us to evolve faster than ever before." She turned back to the scientists. "Continue your work. Show the galaxy what happens when you try to cage humanity. We won't just survive this isolation. We'll use it to become something greater than the tribunal could ever imagine." 5 years after the isolation began, Earth was unrecognizable. The knowledge gained from Project Echo had transformed human civilization completely. Mars, once a cold red planet, now had blue lakes and green forests. What would have taken centuries to terraform happened in months using the new technologies developed from studying the barrier. Thousands of people now lived in beautiful domed cities across the Martian surface. Jin Lee, a farmer on Mars, walked through his wheat field without a spacesuit. The air was clean and fresh, created by special machines that worked 100 times faster than old terraforming methods. "My grandfather would never believe this," Jin told his daughter as they harvested golden wheat under the pink Martian sky. "He spent his whole life growing food in a small plot in China. Now we feed thousands from farms on another planet." Humanity didn't stop at Mars. The moons of Jupiter and Saturn became home to mining colonies and research stations. The largest moon, Ganymede, had a city of 50,000 people who lived in comfort thanks to unlimited energy harvested from the barrier. Even the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter became valuable real estate. Engineers hollowed out the larger asteroids and connected them with transport tubes, creating spinning habitats where people lived on the inner surfaces. On Earth, disease became rare as new medical technologies cured illnesses that once seemed hopeless. People lived longer, healthier lives. Cities were clean and green, with plants growing on every building and vehicles that ran on barrier energy instead of fossil fuels. While humanity spread throughout the solar system, a secret government project worked in the shadows. In a hidden facility on Earth's moon, Dr. Kapoor led a team researching the barrier itself. The project was called Orpheus, named after the Greek hero who tried to escape the underworld. "The barrier isn't just a wall," Dr. Kapoor explained to his team. "It's a complex network of energy fields, each with its own frequency and purpose." His assistant displayed a 3D model showing the barrier's structure, with different colored layers representing different types of energy. "After 5 years of study, we've mapped the entire frequency matrix," Dr. Kapoor continued. "And we found something interesting. The barrier has patterns, like a code." He zoomed in on part of the model, showing repeating sequences in the energy field. "It's like they locked us in using a combination lock," he said with a smile, but left the combination written on the back. Meanwhile, Maya Okonkwo had become the director of a new space program that built ships designed to travel within the solar system. Her latest creation was a sleek vessel that could reach Pluto in just 3 days using barrier-inspired engines. At the launch ceremony for the new ship, Maya met with Ambassador Chen, now the president of the United Earth government. "We've come so far in just 5 years," Maya said as they watched the ship hover effortlessly above the launch pad. "Imagine where we'll be after 10 years or 20. President Chen nodded. "The tribunal thought they were punishing us by putting us in a cage. They never considered that we might learn to pick the lock." 10 years into Earth's isolation, humanity was ready to test its greatest achievement yet. Deep beneath the icy surface of Europa, Jupiter's moon, Maya Okonkwo stood in a heavily shielded control room surrounded by the world's top scientists and military leaders. "The resonance engine is ready," Maya announced, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "If our calculations are correct, it will create a small opening in the barrier for exactly 12 seconds. President Chen, watching via secure video link from Earth, nodded. Proceed. Director Okonkwo. Make history. Maya took a deep breath and pressed her palm against the scanner. The room hummed as massive power systems activated. A mile above them, on Europa's surface, a dish-shaped device pointed toward the distant barrier that surrounded the entire solar system. Resonance frequency locked, reported a technician. Power at 100%. Launch the pulse, Maya ordered. The resonance engine fired an invisible beam of precisely tuned energy. For several tense seconds, nothing happened. Then alarms began to sound as sensors detected a change. "We have disruption in the barrier," shouted the chief engineer. "A portal is forming." On the main screen, they watched as a small dark spot appeared on the purple barrier, far beyond Jupiter's orbit. It was tiny, just large enough for their special probe to fit through. "Launch the messenger probe," Maya commanded. A sleek, black probe shot from a launch tube on Europa's surface, accelerating faster than any object humans had ever built. It raced toward the small opening in the barrier. "Portal stability at 8 seconds remaining," called out a technician. The probe streaked across space, its path precisely calculated. 4 seconds until portal collapse. "The probe is through," someone shouted. The tiny dark spot in the barrier closed behind the probe. The room erupted in cheers and applause. People hugged each other, some with tears in their eyes. "Messenger probe is transmitting data," reported the communications officer. Everyone fell silent as the first information from beyond the barrier in 10 years began to appear on their screens. The probe was designed to gather as much data as possible in the few minutes before the tribunal would detect and destroy it. "We're receiving star charts, locations of nearby systems," Maya said, watching the data flow in. And, wait, what's this? The probe had detected several monitoring stations positioned around the solar system, just outside the barrier. The tribunal had been watching Earth all along. "They expected us to destroy ourselves," Dr. Kapoor said, studying the data. "They thought we'd fall into chaos and regression once cut off from the galaxy." Before anyone could respond, a final burst of data came through. Then the transmission ended. The probe had been destroyed, but not before completing its mission. In a monitoring station near the Earth's solar system, tribunal observers watched in alarm. The small breach had been detected, and the probe destroyed, but the implications were staggering. The humans should not have been able to breach the barrier at all, especially not after just 10 years. An emergency signal was sent to the Galactic Tribunal headquarters. For the first time in its long history, the tribunal faced a species that had done the impossible. "The humans have found a way to peek through their cage," reported a stunned observer. "We may have seriously underestimated these beings." News of the successful barrier breach spread quickly throughout the solar system. On every world and space station, humans celebrated this small victory. But instead of rushing to break free completely, humanity chose a different path. "We could waste resources trying to punch through the barrier," President Chen told the Global Unity Council, "or we can use what we've learned to transform ourselves while we study our jailers." Over the next few years, human society changed in profound ways. Old divisions like nations, religions, and social classes faded away. A new unified human identity emerged, focused on innovation and harmony with each other and their environment. Sofia Rodriguez, a teacher in New Amazon City, formerly Sao Paulo, taught her students about the old days before isolation. "We used to fight over pieces of land and different beliefs," she explained to the children. "Now we see ourselves as one people with a shared future." One student raised her hand. "My grandmother says the aliens did us a favor by putting up the barrier." Sophia smiled. "Many people feel that way now. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is to be forced to look at ourselves differently." While humanity appeared to accept its isolation on the surface, secret projects continued in hidden facilities throughout the solar system. The most important was the evolution of Project Orpheus. In a base hidden inside Saturn's rings, Dr. Kapoor worked with a team of quantum engineers. Now in his 70s, his mind was still sharp, enhanced by medical treatments that hadn't existed before isolation. We've learned to create quantum tunnels through the barrier, he explained to Maya, who had come to inspect their progress. They're too small for ships, but perfect for our new technology. He showed her a microscope view of what looked like specks of dust on a slide. These are our newest creation, he said proudly. Nanoscopic observers. Each contains quantum computing technology that can transmit data through our microtunnels. Maya looked impressed. Can you control where they go once they're outside the barrier? Not precisely, Dr. Kapoor admitted. But they can drift on solar winds to nearby systems. Once there, they observe and report back. Like invisible spies, Maya said. I prefer to think of them as scouts, Dr. Kapoor replied. We need to know our jailers if we ever hope to change their minds about us. Over the next few years, millions of these tiny observers were sent through quantum tunnels in the barrier. They drifted to planets, space stations, and ships belonging to the various tribunal species. The data they sent back was invaluable. Humans learned about tribunal technologies, cultures, and weaknesses. They watched and listened, gathering knowledge about the civilizations that had judged them. Know thy jailer became a common saying among those who worked on the project. Meanwhile, artists and creators throughout the solar system experienced an explosion of creativity. New forms of music used mathematical patterns discovered in the barrier. Paintings and sculptures incorporated materials with properties only recently discovered. Architecture blended beauty and function in ways never before imagined. Even as the tribunal monitors watched for signs of desperation or conflict, humanity flourished. The punishment meant to humble them had instead unified and inspired them in ways no one could have predicted. News of the successful barrier breach spread quickly throughout the solar system. On every world and space station, humans celebrated this small victory. But instead of rushing to break free completely, humanity chose a different path. We could waste resources trying to punch through the barrier, President Chen told the Global Unity Council, or we can use what we've learned to transform ourselves while we study our jailers. Over the next few years, human society changed in profound ways. Old divisions like nations, religions, and social classes faded away. A new unified human identity emerged, focused on innovation and harmony with each other and their environment. Sofia Rodriguez, a teacher in New Amazon City, formerly Sao Paulo, taught her students about the old days before isolation. We used to fight over pieces of land and different beliefs, she explained to the children. Now we see ourselves as one people with a shared future. One student raised her hand. My grandmother says the aliens did us a favor by putting up the barrier. Sophia smiled. Many people feel that way now. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is to be forced to look at ourselves differently. While humanity appeared to accept its isolation on the surface, secret projects continued in hidden facilities throughout the solar system. The most important was the evolution of Project Orpheus. In a base hidden inside Saturn's rings, Dr. Kapoor worked with a team of quantum engineers. Now in his 70s, his mind was still sharp, enhanced by medical treatments that hadn't existed before isolation. We've learned to create quantum tunnels through the barrier, he explained to Maya, who had come to inspect their progress. They're too small for ships, but perfect for our new technology. He showed her a microscope view of what looked like specks of dust on a slide. These are our newest creation, he said proudly. Nanoscopic observers. Each contains quantum computing technology that can transmit data through our microtunnels. Maya looked impressed. Can you control where they go once they're outside the barrier? Not precisely, Dr. Kapoor admitted, but they can drift on solar winds to nearby systems. Once there, they observe and report back. Like invisible spies, Maya said. I prefer to think of them as scouts, Dr. Kapoor replied. We need to know our jailers if we ever hope to change their minds about us. Over the next few years, millions of these tiny observers were sent through quantum tunnels in the barrier. They drifted to planets, space stations, and ships belonging to the various tribunal species. The data they sent back was invaluable. Humans learned about tribunal technologies, cultures, and weaknesses. They watched and listened, gathering knowledge about the civilizations that had judged them. "Know thy jailer" became a common saying among those who worked on the project. Meanwhile, artists and creators throughout the solar system experienced an explosion of creativity. New forms of music used mathematical patterns discovered in the barrier. Paintings and sculptures incorporated materials with properties only recently discovered. Architecture blended beauty and function in ways never before imagined. Even as the tribunal monitors watched for signs of desperation or conflict, humanity flourished. The punishment meant to humble them had instead unified and inspired them in ways no one could have predicted. 30 years after Earth's isolation began, something unprecedented happened at the Galactic Tribunal headquarters. Representatives from over 300 worlds gathered in the Great Hall, the same place where Ambassador Chen had stood alone 3 decades earlier. Leading this massive group was Ambassador Krulvex of the Eleth. The tall, 4-armed alien stepped forward to address the 7 judges of the tribunal. "Honored judges," Krulvex began, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. "We come with a formal petition to reconsider Earth's isolation sentence." Murmurs spread through the hall. No species had ever requested a sentence revision before, especially not for another civilization. Chief Judge Vox Lumina's crystal body glowed with surprise. "On what grounds do you make this extraordinary request?" Krulvex gestured, and his assistants brought forward a small device. When activated, it projected a hologram of a water purification system. "5 years ago, my homeworld faced a terrible drought," Krulvex explained. "Millions of my people were dying. Then this technology appeared in our central computer system. It allowed us to find and purify water deep beneath our deserts." The alien touched the device with reverence. "We did not create this. Our scientists have confirmed it came from humans." The judges shifted uncomfortably. "Impossible," one said. "The humans are completely isolated." "Yet the evidence is undeniable," Krulvex replied. "The coding structure matches human patterns. And we are not alone." One by one, representatives from hundreds of worlds stepped forward with similar stories. A reptilian alien told how human medical techniques had cured a plague on her world. A gaseous being described energy technology that had saved its people from freezing when their sun dimmed unexpectedly. "In every case," said a small, insect-like alien, "the help came without demands or even acknowledgement. The humans could have used these opportunities to threaten or control us. Instead, they simply helped and asked for nothing in return." The tribunal hall grew louder as more aliens shared their experiences. Many worlds that had once agreed with Earth's isolation now questioned that decision. "How did they do this?" Vox Lumina demanded. "How could they reach beyond the barrier?" No one had a clear answer, but theories spread. Some believed humans had developed technology to send information through the barrier. Others thought they might have secretly broken through years ago. "The method is less important than the message," Krulvex said. "When we imprisoned the humans, they could have turned inward, becoming bitter and vengeful. Instead, they reached out to help the very civilizations that judged them." Ambassador Krulvex raised all 4 of his arms in a formal gesture of petition. The tribunal isolated Earth because they were deemed dangerous and unpredictable. But their actions prove they are compassionate and wise. We ask that you reconsider their sentence." The 7 judges conferred silently for several minutes. Finally, Vox Lumina spoke. "This petition is unprecedented. We require time to consider its implications. The tribunal will reconvene in 1 standard month to review Earth's case." As the aliens filed out of the hall, many wondered what they would discover about the mysterious humans who had helped them from behind their barrier. 1 month later, the Galactic Tribunal Hall was filled beyond capacity. Species from across the galaxy crowded in to witness the historic session. The 7 judges took their places on the high platforms, with Chief Judge Vox Lumina's crystal form glowing brighter than usual. "This special session will now begin," Vox Lumina announced. "The case of Earth's isolation sentence is reopened for review. A murmur ran through the crowd as a communication link was established with Earth. Everyone expected to see a single human representative appear on the large screen above the judges. Instead, thousands of holographic images filled the air throughout the chamber. Men and women of all ages and backgrounds appeared: farmers, engineers, doctors, teachers, and children. Each hologram was a real person, transmitted live from somewhere in Earth's solar system. "What is the meaning of this?" demanded one of the judges. An elderly man stepped forward from the human holograms. It was Dr. Kapoor, now in his 90s but still sharp-minded. "Honored Tribunal," he said with a small bow. 30 years ago, you judged our entire species based on the testimony of a single representative. Today, we ask that you hear from many of us." Before the judges could object, Dr. Kapoor began presenting evidence. He showed how isolation had accelerated human development in unexpected ways. "Your barrier became our greatest teacher," he explained. "By studying it, we achieved technological advancement estimated at 5,000 years beyond our normal path." Next, Maya Okonkwo demonstrated technologies humans had developed that could solve energy crises affecting multiple tribunal species. "We offer these freely to the galaxy," she said. "No patents, no payments, no political conditions." Then, one by one, ordinary humans shared their stories. A farmer from Australia explained how isolation had taught humanity to grow food more efficiently. A doctor from Nigeria described medical breakthroughs that extended human lifespans. A child from Brazil showed artwork inspired by the barrier's mathematical patterns. The most powerful testimonies came from aliens whose lives had been saved by human intervention. The tribunal watched recordings from dozens of worlds where whispers had prevented disasters or solved deadly problems. Eventually, Chief Judge Vox Lumina asked the question everyone was wondering. "Why did you choose to help other civilizations instead of seeking revenge against those who imprisoned you?" The answer came from Sofia Rodriguez, the teacher from New Amazon City. "Because you taught us the most valuable lesson," she said simply. "You showed us that we were alone in our solar system, but never alone in our hearts. We became one people because of you." Sophia smiled at the judges. "When we realized we could reach beyond our barrier in small ways, we asked ourselves what message we wanted to send. Anger would have proven you right about us. Kindness proved you wrong." The tribunal hall fell silent. Many aliens looked down, perhaps feeling shame for the first time about the punishment they had supported. "We wanted to thank you properly," Sophia finished. "You tried to teach us isolation. We learned connection instead." After 3 days of testimonies and evidence, the Galactic Tribunal retreated to consider their decision. Species from across the galaxy waited anxiously. Many who had once supported Earth's punishment now hoped for its end. On the 4th day, the 7 judges returned. The Great Hall fell silent as Chief Judge Vox Lumina rose to speak. "In the history of the Galactic Tribunal, no sentence has ever been reduced," the crystalline being began. "However, no species has ever responded to punishment the way humans have." Vox Lumina's body glowed with multicolored light as it continued. "The isolation of Earth was meant to last 100 years. Today, after just 50 years, we have reached a unanimous decision." The hall held its collective breath. The isolation barrier around Earth's solar system will be removed immediately. Humanity is welcomed as a full member of the galactic community. Cheers erupted throughout the hall. Representatives from hundreds of worlds celebrated the decision. Many had directly benefited from humanity's secret help and were eager to meet their benefactors openly. 1 week later, representatives from across the galaxy gathered to witness the historic moment. In orbit around Earth, thousands of ships from different worlds assembled to watch the barrier fall. On Earth, people gathered in city squares, on rooftops, and in open fields, their eyes turned toward the sky. For 50 years, they had lived under a purple dome that hid the stars. Many young people had never seen the true night sky. Maya Okonkwo, now in her 70s, stood beside President Amara Okafor on a platform in New Unity City, formerly known as Geneva. They watched on large screens as the tribunal ships positioned themselves around the barrier. "Do you think we're ready?" President Okafor asked quietly. Maya smiled. "We've been ready for decades." At exactly noon Universal Time, the tribunal ships fired special beams at the barrier. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like ice melting in the sun, the purple dome began to fade, first in small spots, then in widening circles, until finally, it disappeared completely. People gasped as the true stars became visible in broad daylight for the first time in half a century. Children pointed in wonder. Many adults wept with joy. But the greatest surprise came to the watching aliens. As the barrier dissolved, it revealed what humanity had built during their isolation. The solar system had been transformed beyond recognition. Mars glowed green and blue, a second Earth. The space between planets was filled with massive structures, habitat rings, solar collectors, and transport networks. Around Jupiter and Saturn, their moons were linked by shimmering bridges of light. Pluto and the outer worlds hosted massive research stations. "Impossible," whispered an alien observer. "They've accomplished in 50 years what should have taken thousands." As the barrier vanished completely, Earth's ships were ready. Not warships seeking revenge, but vessels of exploration and friendship. They launched immediately, bringing gifts of technology, art, and scientific knowledge. Ambassador Elena Chen, now 93 years old, was invited to address the tribunal one final time. Using technology that kept her mind sharp despite her age, she spoke words that would be remembered for generations. "You sentenced us to isolation believing it would break us. Instead, it focused us. You feared what humanity might become, but failed to see what we already were. A species defined not by our flaws, but by our limitless capacity to overcome them. Today marks not the end of our isolation, but the beginning of our contribution to a greater galactic family."